point. And you see these things, the FIFA Fair Play rules, sure, but what impact do they really have? Teams are finding loopholes where they essentially bring in players, pay for them later, or they somehow find an excuse to do it. So at the end of the day, the real question is, what is FIFA, what is UEFA, what is CONCACAF, what is CONMEBOL, what are all these different conferences actually doing to make soccer a better sport? And I have yet to see a really successful attempt to do this. Alright, Carl, anything else to add?
No, I'd like to move on to lighter subjects now, like sports.
Sports. I love sports. Alright, we'll go to the NBA. The Cleveland Cavaliers just swept the Atlanta Hawks, and they book a spot in the NBA Finals. Unfortunately, the city of Cleveland now has its hopes up, which will make losing just that much more painful, because we all know Cleveland winning sports games just doesn't happen for that long. The last time Cleveland had their shot, they got swept by the San Antonio Spurs. Now they're going to play either the Golden State Warriors or the Houston Rockets, though it looks likely that it will be the Warriors. Carl, I know you're not a massive NBA guy, but Warriors or Cavs, what would you say between the two of those teams?
Okay, here's one of my issues with the Warriors, and I rarely use this argument, but I think the lack of experience is going to come in, specifically when you look to the Cavs, and just around the board, obviously Kyrie is fairly inexperienced, and that does lead to some issues when you're looking at point guards, Kyrie versus Steph Curry, and Steph Curry's a great player, but I don't know, LeBron James at this level, and LeBron James in playoff ball, I think he has a very good supporting cast around him. I think that J.R. Smith, it's crazy to think of J.R. Smith as reliable at this point, but I really think he has become a key player for them. Also, I don't know when Kevin Love is projected back.
He's not. He's not projected back. He's not coming back.
Well, you know what?
It doesn't really matter, though, because Tristan Thompson's been kind of a force in these playoffs.
Here's the deal. All I'm saying is that I think that the Cavaliers have enough experience, they have enough, and I don't think we can pick against them just because their city's cursed.
I'm going to pick against them because their city's cursed, and also because I think Steph Curry... I don't often, watch the NBA playoffs religiously, just because I found them pretty boring. And this year's the same thing, especially series involving the Warriors, besides the Grizzlies series. But I found myself gravitating towards watching these Golden State Warriors play because of the way Steph Curry plays. The guy is magical. Steph Curry can cook up a storm in a second, and it is magisterial. It is amazing to watch, and he's made these playoffs so much better. I'm looking forward to the matchup. I think we're going to have a great series on our hand, but at the end of the day, I think the Cavaliers, like LeBron said at the beginning of the year, aren't ready to win a title yet. And I think that they will come back next year and probably pick up the title. But I think this is similar to what we saw with the Heat year one, where they couldn't pick up that title because I think they just lack that little bit extra. And I think that's what they get next year. Alright, over to the NHL now. We've got a 3-3 series going to a Game 7. Rangers and Lightning after the Rangers picked up a 7-3 win tonight in Tampa Bay. So we go back to New York, Carl. Rangers now have the momentum. Do you think the Rangers get it done, or can the Lightning continue to display that grittiness that got them the Game 7 win against the Red Wings, that helped them win in New York earlier in the series? What do you think?
All right, here's what I've seen a very impressive and I think kind of more grown-up team out of the Lightning than I thought I would. When you look to this team, it's been all around. They've had a couple guys step up, and that's been big for them. When you look to their offensive stats, you would expect Steven Stamkos to be leading the lead. I mean, he's one of the best players in the NHL. But he's third in points in the playoffs at 17. They have, guys in double digits, they have 7 players in double digits in points in just 18 games. I mean, that's really impressive to get to that point. They're going with it all around. There's a couple lines they're doing it, and a defenseman. So they've got really great balance on defense. But while that has impressed, I've got one issue, and I think that's Henrik Lundqvist. He's such a clutch goaltender, and I think this Game 7 situation, that's what Henrik Lundqvist lives for. And I think that the New York Rangers are going to pull out this one in Game 7, especially with the momentum going back home and with Lundqvist and net. I just don't see the Lightning being able to get past King Henrik.
Yeah, look, I thought the Lightning were the team that was going to win this series, and I think they should have won this series tonight, but I think they blew their shot. I think they had it in front of them. They had the win, and they let it slip. And I think the Rangers go back home with the momentum, and they pick up a crucial Game 7 win. Interestingly enough, I don't think it's going to be Lundqvist. I think, once again, we're going to see another poor performance from Lundqvist, but I think it's the Rangers' offense, their ability to get it done, their grittiness, that helps them win, which I think has been a very underrated part of this Rangers team, because Lundqvist really hasn't been that incredible throughout these playoffs, or not specifically this series, but I think that the Rangers can get it done. I mean, scoring 7 goals in a game is pretty good, you know. I tend to like 10 to 15 goals, but I'll take 7. I think the Rangers pick up the Game 7 win. All right, over to the Chicago Blackhawks Anaheim Ducks series. Well, after what has been a crazy series, including a double overtime, a triple overtime, and a single overtime, we go to Game 6 back in Chicago. After last game, the Blackhawks, down 4-2, tied it with 2 goals in a minute from Jonathan Toews, and then under a minute into overtime, we had a game winner from Anaheim, which sent Anaheim to a 3-2 lead. I'll start off here. I do think the Blackhawks will pick up the Game 6 win. Heading back home, this is a team that has shown time and time again they can get it done, at least to preserve their shot of winning. They did it last year against the LA Kings, and I think they do it again this year to at least force a Game 7. Not talking about overall series, Carl, but Game 6. Who do you think is going to pick up the win?
When we head to Game 6, obviously this has been an incredible series. I mean, a couple goals, a couple plays go different ways. I mean, we all remember how close. I mean, any game that's going multiple overtimes is going to be close. Jonathan Toews, the momentum looked to be going so far in their direction last game. So I think the first thing we need to understand is that this series has been extremely close, and any pick we make is probably going to be wrong just on a sheer fact of how close this series has been. However, I am leaning towards Anaheim's side, and I'm going to tell you why. I think that the momentum is going to come into play, and yes, I know they've gone back and forth, but I think that the Blackhawks thought they really had something going for them when they got those 2 goals late, and that quick overtime goal is going to take a little bit of wind out of their sails, and just enough where Frederik Andersen's been playing so well, and yes, Corey Crawford has played well as well, just the same, but I think Andersen is playing at such a high level. I mean, these have all been close games except for Game 1. I expect this to be another game. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to overtime, but I'm going to give it to the Ducks to give them the win heading into the Stanley Cup Finals.
All right, well, you already made your prediction for who's going to win the series. I'm going to have to go with the Blackhawks here. I know that the Ducks have the lead, and I know they've got the advantage, but like you said, the series has been so close, and the Blackhawks are at their best when they are up against a wall, when they really have to dig deep and win. That seems to be when the best of the Blackhawks comes out. And like the Rangers, who just had their backs against the wall, I think Chicago is going to demonstrate that same ability as we get another big market matchup in the Stanley Cup.
Honestly, I have no issue with that. I think it's been such a close series. I think it can go either way, and I expect it to be a close Game 6, and if there is a Game 7, I expect that to be close as well. I don't expect either team to be running away with the next couple of games.
I would agree. All right, now on to baseball. And on to the Minnesota Twins.
Hey!
The Twins, who have been historically all right, and over the past couple of years,
historically bad,
and over the past couple of years, really bad.
Really bad.
Things seem to have changed, I guess. Well, the Twins came into this year as the worst team in the AL Central, and now things have definitely turned around for this team as they sit at 27-18, second best in the AL Central, and, dare I say, third in the AL, and fifth in baseball. Incredible incredible from this Minnesota Twins team. Carl, you're a Twins fan. What are your thoughts?
That is true. I'm a Twins fan. Here's the deal with the Twins. Like, I completely expect them to come back down to earth. It's really sad, but the fact is that there's nothing special about this team in the basic numbers. What's special is the situational hitting, and their 2-out hitting has been outstanding. But 2-out hitting and hitting with men on base is somewhat part of the team and part of the atmosphere. I just worry that they're going to lose 2 in a row, and suddenly that confidence goes down, that 2-out hitting goes down, and they tend to slide, and they slide away, especially in a really hard division. So while I could see them possibly, I just don't see them sustaining this pace they've been at. Since they started out 1-6 early in the year, they have the best record in baseball, tied with the Houston Astros.
Impressive.
And they've been outstanding since they started at 1-6. And I just think that it's too dangerous that they go into a slide and they fall back. So maybe they do pick up a wild card, the second wild card, especially because there hasn't been a ton of teams stepping up in the AL. And when you look to the AL overall, we look to the league. I mean, you have the Rays are over 500, the Angels are over 500, the Yankees are over 500, but they're leading their division. Then there's the 3 AL Central teams, then there's the Astros. Mm-hmm. So with the Twins, I think they can keep ahead of a couple of those teams, especially for the fact that they're 9 games over 500. But I really do worry about them keeping, and even I don't think they really have a good shot at winning the division title. I think they're much more likely to hopefully pick up a wild card.
All right. Well, we're not going to talk about the White Sox. Let's go to the Houston Astros, who are the other surprise team. I'll talk a little about the Astros. You know, this is a team that had a lot of young talent coming in, but I don't think many people thought that this was going to be a team that was going to put it all together this year. I thought people thought maybe 1 or 2 years in the future. But, surprisingly, it hasn't been that. Do you want to know the most interesting thing about this? And while, of course, he's had less at-bats than most people on the team. Carl, would you like to take a guess at who has the best batting average on the Houston Astros?
Was the best batting? Is it a pitcher?
Yes.
Is it? It's a pitcher?
Yeah, hurry up. 3.
Dallas,
Kugel? Yeah, it is. Dallas Kugel has the best batting average on the Houston Astros. He's batting .333.
So he played in 1 game in 1 interleague series?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're doing great batting wise. I mean, this is a team that's getting hits in crucial situations. In terms of runs batted in, Gaddis has been amazing for them. 28 RBIs, Altuve with 25, Chris Carter 23, Valbuena with 18, and Rasmus with 17. Of course, one of their sensations, Springer with 17 as well. In terms of pitching, they've been getting it done. As we said, Kugel also is pitching incredibly for this team. 1.98 ERA. Chad Quall's a guy who, when you think of him, you don't really think, oh man, here comes a good pitcher. But this guy's been quietly reliable in the bullpen with 2.45 ERA, 4 saves on the year. You've got Lance McCullers, who's 1-0 with a 2.53 ERA. Tons of pitchers. Pat Neshek pitching well as well, but this is a team that's getting it done all around. Not necessarily one area of the game that's been great, but look at them. They're quietly making waves, looking like the Athletics of last year, which means they're going to go all in, trade away every single prospect they have, and then lose in the playoffs. All right.
Undoubtedly.
And we'll wrap up with some college football. And just really quickly, Carl, any updates on Oregon?
To that, I have one thing I need to tell you because I thought of this. It's an NHL playoff proposal where it's win by 2. So you get like 13-game series.
Oh my god. That would be horrifying, especially if they're both really, really good teams.
Would that not be so much fun? Or only in the Stanley Cup Final, though?
Sure, I'll do it only in the Stanley Cup Final. But that eliminates Game 7s. But that makes Game 7s kind of worthless because that's like the win or go home, everything's on the line game.
Yes, but then each team has a win or go home.
Yeah, but it's not as fun.
I like it.
Wait, but what happens if you win the first 2 games?
Well, no, it's not win. It's first to 4 win by 2.
All right, fine, maybe I'll consider it. Well, actually, let's ignore college football. We are at 29 minutes 50. We're at 30.